Ella, an idealistic young woman with a less than idyllic family life, is thrust into a position of political power for only 3 days, and those 3 days turn out to be some of the most eventful of her life, with a father that is no end of emotional torment, a firebrand of an aunt who points her passion in any direction that will benefit Ella, a husband that is a catastrophe waiting to happen, and a brother she would do anything to protect. Written and directed by movie veteran James L. Brooks, this family drama has no end of wit and humor in the chaotic world of ELLA McCAY.
Hi, I'm the narrator. I'm here to provide facts about ELLA McCAY. I've worked for her ever since she finished law school, so I'm not exactly neutral. I'm nuts about her. This is how it started.
Aunt Helen, I have a ridiculously serious problem, and you're the only one I can tell.
I'm about to add to your problems, Ella. Your father's here.
Why?
We haven't seen each other in how long? You don't know either?
Eddie, you promised not to be yourself.
Oscar-winning veteran actress Jamie Lee Curtis, star of the generational Halloween franchise, family classic Freaky Friday, and the award-winning Everything Everywhere All at Once, plays the role of ELLA McCAY's loving and no-nonsense aunt, Helen, who always stands steadfast behind her niece and champions her come hell or high water, especially as she tries to figure out her way through what seems like an endless battle to prevent her dysfunctional family members from derailing her political career.
Judita da Silva, Arise Play Nigeria. Now, hi. Now when your character Helen is introduced in this film as this formidable alpha female, there's almost an expectation that, okay, she's probably going to be a mentor figure to ELLA McCAY, her niece. But then as the film unfolds, she occupies more of a position of kind of a moral compass where she offers counsel, but she also grants agency to Ella to make her own decisions. So when you're playing a character that's that dynamic, or you sit in a position as a support to a protagonist, so you have to make it impactful but never overpowering. Where does your gauge come from? Is it the director, the co-star, or do you find it within yourself?
Wow. Well, look at you. Look at you showing off with a really profound, nuanced, detail. You have to remember, I promoted Freaky Friday, and almost every person I spoke to said, if you could switch bodies with any Disney character, what would it be? So you can imagine my brain is exploding with the complexity of what you're asking me. What I will tell you is that it's James L. Brooks. James L. Brooks is the conductor. The text is the score, I am the instrument. He is the conductor. He is the one determining what those levels of impact and accent and modulation are. And believe me, he shoots a lot of film. He loves to shoot. He loves many, 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 many takes. And it took me a long time to get used to it because I'm from horror movies where you get one or two and you have to deliver. So I come in ready to go. And this was the first time what I was offering in my first instinct, Jim would be like, yeah, no. Because then you're like, oh, what? What's happening here? And then it began. So it's all Jim Brooks.
I'm a different person now. I met an incredible woman.
Oh,
No. The way I've never in my life felt this way about any other woman.
Jesus, Eddie!
Oh, God, I wasn't counting your mother. She's in a completely different category.
And let me just say that you are truly blessed if you have never experienced other people's normal, happy families as a small stab in the heart.
You're 34. You just became governor of the state you were born and raised in. Are you thinking about your mom? Yeah, me too.
Director, writer, and producer James L. Brooks, the Oscar-winning, Golden Globe-winning, and Emmy Award-winning director behind movie classics including As Good as It Gets and Terms of Endearment, also the founder of Gracie Films, the studio behind The Simpsons, wrote and directed Ella McCAY as a long-time passion project to tell a story that speaks to the family dysfunctions everyone has some experience of. His eponymous leading star for the movie was actress Emma Mackey, known for her roles in Netflix series Sex Education, Kenneth Branagh's Death on the Nile, and summer blockbuster Barbie, as she brought a charm to Ella McCay through her relationships with her aunt and particularly her brother that captured the sense of a young woman trapped between where she is from and where she is trying to go in life.
Judita da Silva, Arise Play Nigeria. My first question is for James. Watching this film and just digesting it afterwards from like a bird's eye view, it just was something I noted that the character of Ella and her brother Casey are highly intelligent and high-achieving siblings, and yet they are so troubled and fragile emotionally. Was it always your intention from the outset to speak to that human reality that some of the most gifted and talented people, more often than not, come from a broken place?
Wow. Wow, that's such a good question.
I always, I don't think invariably, but that was very much on my mind. Yeah. That to come from trauma, the battle out of trauma was always key to what it was about.
And for Emma, just watching a performance as Ella, you clearly show a woman that is self-aware and self-assured. But the way you do the inflections when she's going through crisis points, you can see that throughout the film, she's always balanced on an edge emotionally that her father can trigger or her husband can trigger. So how did you figure out how to play this paradox of a woman who presents one way outwardly, is dealing with stuff inwardly, and then the two worlds clash at any given moment?
Wow. Again, I mean, thank you. And that's a kind of encapsulates the whole film, I think, and the whole dichotomy that's at play constantly. You know, there's this. I would argue that actually she probably doesn't. She doesn't present herself necessarily as being in control. At certain key points, she's there, but she always shows up. You know, she always shows up and she meets people there in that moment. But there's also this kind of she's constantly moving. There is always something, and you know, in these 3 days that we are with her, and she becomes governor, we're privy to these flashbacks, and then we're privy to memories of hers, and we get to be in her personal space and in her mind and in her soul a little bit, and understand where she comes from and where perhaps the clumsiness and the frailty at times comes from, you know, and that it's justified and we don't judge it. But I like what you said. I think the idea was, especially, and it was the same with the tone. You know, there's drama and there's trauma, of course, but we also had to find the clumsiness and the fun and the humor and the levity to keep reminding ourselves that we had to inject it with that too. You know, it is a comedy at the end of the day. But it was we were always like that. We were always playing with all sides. I mean, literally, we had to try everything to see what's stuck.
And there's a moment that comes out of her at one point that's one of the most painful things you can hear somebody say when she confesses to the fear that her husband doesn't love her.
Your father, your brother, and your husband.
Where is she?
Can I tell her what it's about?
It's about how she ruined everything.
All right, I'll tell her that.
The ticking time bomb in your life.
You didn't want me big sistering. But what happened to that great girl?
Susan, would you be my girlfriend?
A lot of time has passed, and we've been with other people, or not.
You can use a scream.
Scream.
All right.
No. No, I might not be able to stop.
It's too bad. I was going to join you.
Like concentrated bursts that we see Helen through the film, she had this effect that even when you're not on camera and Ella's character is going through a crisis, I found myself saying, just call your aunt, she'll fix it. Okay, just call her, she'll fix it. So were you aware of what you do with the performance leaving a lasting impression, or is it just the magic of storytelling in film that happens to have that effect on us?
It's the magic of writing and directing and creating something that you as an audience member say, just call her. She's going to help you. It's the same thing happened in the movie Halloween. John Carpenter explained to me from the beginning, he said, I very much want this girl to be very vulnerable. And I was 19 years old, and vulnerable to me sounded weak. And I didn't like the word. And I don't think I could spell it. And I didn't understand it, but I just did the work in the movie. And then when the movie came out, I went to see it in a theater. And there's a moment in the movie where Laurie has been at the house with the babysitting, and her friend in the other house being hurt by Michael Myers. And she calls her friend, and then Laurie hears her, but thinks they're playing a joke on her. And when she walks from one house to the other, ultimately to find all of her friends have been murdered and the chase is on, as Laurie was walking across the street, a woman stood up in the theater and screamed, "Don't go in there. There's a killer in that house." And I realized that's what John Carpenter was talking about, which was you're premeditating something. You're establishing something with your character that people care about you so that they don't want you to get hurt. That's the same thing as you saying, just call your aunt. Your aunt, because we've established her as being someone who is that person. So I think it's very similar what you're talking about. By the way, you learned about Don. I don't know if you ever watched the show The Bear. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. It's a TV show here in America.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You hear about Donna Berzato for 16 episodes before you meet her. But for 16 episodes, you hear about her. So when you meet her, there's already all of your expectation. So that's where the power of writing and storytelling can really layer in some interesting responses.
In spite of his long and decorated career, ELLA McCAY is one movie that has been a long time in the making for James L. Brooks, because he has been working on the script for 15 years, and only now felt it was ready to be made into a film. But like many artists, the creative process cannot be rushed, and sometimes it just takes as long as it takes.
Speaking on a more meta level, it was mentioned in the press conference that this was 15 years to get to this point. And just thinking in recent years, what we've heard about big projects with directors, Francis Ford Coppola said Megalopolis was inside him for decades before he got to making it. Paul Thomas Anderson said it was 20 years to get to one battle after another. So from a creative point of view, is it a case that there are certain projects like ELLA McCAY that it just takes time to get to the right place? Or is it more of a circumstantial consequence and time just happens to pass by?
I think I'm a writer.
It's probably a mixture of both, isn't it? I mean, it's like, did you always, these things that you thought about and that you care about too, maybe? And that it was timing.
Yeah, I really don't have an honest answer to it. It's just the rhythm of whatever. I don't know. And these days, be grateful if you could have an idea, write a script, and somebody lets you make the movie. So make it with gratitude, make it with appreciation. Make it count if you can.
Well, really beautiful film. I enjoyed watching it very much, and thank you for talking with us.
Thanks much. Thanks for your questions. They were
Good meeting.
great.
You can go your own way. Hi, Ella here.
Hi, I'm Helen McCay. Please excuse the way I talk or act.
Families, huh?
Absolutely.